Hey, how's it going, art nerds, and welcome back to another video by me, DD Mark. And in this video, this is actually kind of a crazy one. I'm kind of feeling a little bit impulsive. I kind of just picked up my microphone and I'm currently sitting on my bed right now because I just got hit with like an epiphany of something that I wanted to talk about. And I feel like I really need to talk about this. And so pretty much my favorite Pixar movie is Monsters University. Now that seems weird off the cuff, but just give me a second, I'll explain what I mean. In Monsters University, it's about Mike Wazowski, and since he was a kid, he had this dream of becoming a scarer, and he worked hard and he took all the right steps and he went to the right university, but at the end, he just wasn't cut out for it. No matter how hard he worked, no matter how bad he wanted it, it just wasn't meant to be. And Mike Wazowski, at the end of the day, found that he was better off suited to something like, working in the background, and he was good at that. So why do I tell you guys this? Why do I tell you all randomly about my favorite movie, or my favorite Pixar movie, at least? Well, ironically enough, it kind of has to do with Pixar, or more specifically, it has to do with the animation industry in general. And I just want to talk to you guys about something that I feel like every artist needs to hear. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it because this might be the title of the video. And it's, as an artist, your dreams might not come true, and that's okay. And what I mean by that is, you guys know me as DD Mark, the comic artist, and some of you don't even know me or care about my comics. You just follow me because you like me on YouTube, and that's fine and all. But one thing about me is I'm not only just a comic book artist, I'm an artist in general. I'm always looking for new avenues to be creative through. Ergo, my YouTube channel, I'm creative on here. It's a way for me to let out my creativity. Same thing with comic books and manga and all that. But one thing most of you guys don't know is, for at least the last year and a half or so, I've been trying to get a job in the animation industry. And well, I just kind of want to talk about that because I recently had a failure, that kind of just jumped out to me, and I felt that I had to talk about this. But yeah, I've always wanted to work in the animation industry since I was a kid, but I didn't even know it yet. Back when I was a kid in Nigeria, we didn't have a lot of things. We didn't have video games like most other kids. I didn't have a lot of toys. My parents couldn't really afford all that stuff. But one thing that we did have, at least when the power was available, was we always had cartoons. And what cartoons did for me was it brought light into a very, very gray world for me. I was never really liked as a kid, and I didn't really have friends in class that much. But one thing that I always had was cartoons, and I took great comfort in them, and they brought me joy, and they always transported me to this colorful world with colorful characters where I get to feel like these characters are my friends. And I'll never forget the day I first got exposed to animated movies from Disney. And I remember it was my dad bought me Mulan, the DVD. I remember that. I watched that with my brother and sister. And at that moment, I wished I could work on and create things like this to evoke some sort of positive emotion, one very similar to the one that I felt that very same day that I watched it. But back then, art wasn't even a career. I come from a family where your only options for a job were doctor, lawyer, engineer. So it never occurred to me that there was any job in the art space. And then a few years ago, I found out about the animation industry, and for some reason, my dumb ass realized that adults work on these movies that we love so much, all these Disney Pixar movies, and I wanted to do it. I mean, back then I also wanted to make comic books, but I also wanted to be in animation. I wanted to do both, because why not, right? And it was a dream of mine, right alongside being one of the best comic book artists. I always wanted to work as a character designer in the animation industry, but I always had a fear. I felt like I was never good enough to go out and try to do it. And then I found Ethan Becker on YouTube. Prior to this, I had never heard of him. I don't even remember how I came across his channel or his videos. But when I found Ethan Becker, he'd been uploading for a while. He had about 600,000 subscribers then or whatever. But one thing about Ethan that really, really struck deep with me was by his videos, Ethan Becker made me believe that I had a shot in getting a job at the animation industry. He made me feel like I could be the thing that I dreamed of becoming. And I guess when I hit that point in my life when I just started taking leaps of faith, by putting my work out there, essentially bringing DD Mark to life, when I started doing things that scared me, putting my work out there, I started to grow a following. It kind of made me feel more bold and courageous in pursuing my dreams. And what happened was I finally told myself I'd try to become a character designer, right? I've always wanted to be one. And I tried it. And I made a portfolio, and You know, I applied for all the internships, I applied to a lot of jobs, sent in my work, portfolio, did everything I could, but I kept on getting rejection after rejection after rejection. And at some point, you know, I kind of forgot about it. I didn't forget about the dream, but I kind of got too busy with DD Mark and comic books and YouTube that for a while, like at the back of my mind, I always, you know, told myself, when am I going to work on my portfolio again, right? But I was always too busy doing everything else. I kind of put the dream aside for a bit because in my mind, I'm like, I have time, right? I'm still in college. DD Mark is taking off. I can't take my foot off the pedal. I was at that point in my growth where I'm getting thousands and thousands of followers like every week or something. And I just made the YouTube and I was still a student. So I had a lot on my plate, and like the animation industry, no matter how bad I wanted it, was just always at the back of my mind. I couldn't make time for it until I graduated recently. I mean, actually before that, before I graduated, when my schedule started to like ease off a little bit and I started to have more and more time, I figured I might as well start working on that portfolio again. And I got to working on it. And this time, unlike before, I reached out to a lot of people in the industry because now I have the social media leverage. I have a lot of followers, meaning the Instagram algorithm will push my stuff up and, you know, they'll see my messages. And so I DM a lot of people, not just to network. I'm not using these people to try to get my leg or my foot in the door. I genuinely just needed help because I felt so stuck, because I remember I just kept on getting rejection after rejection. I just been facing so much rejection. But if you know me, and if you're a follower of me, you know I'm Mr. Never Give Up. I'm Mr. Keep Pushing, keep chasing that dream. It's possible. So I refused to give up, right? But deep down, it was hurting me. It was bothering me because I was putting my best foot forward. I was working the hardest, but I was not making any progress. I was just faced time and time again with rejection after rejection. And so I reached out to all those people in the industry, and, you know, a good amount of them got back to me. Some of them didn't, you know, no shade to them. I know they're very busy. A lot of people, you know, sometimes they read it and they didn't reply. I could see that, but it's fine, I guess. And I kept on getting so much different advice. And it's funny how overwhelmingly the most that I heard from a lot of people in that industry is a lot of them told me to give up. You know, they told me that I should, you know, and I'm quoting here, stick to comic books. That was generally what I heard from a lot of them, and that destroyed me. I didn't want to keep going anymore. I wanted to quit, but the toxicity of, you know, Mr. Work Hard, the grind set mindset guy in me, you know, although I was distraught, I was like, no, I have to keep going. A part of me even kind of got angry, like I'll show these people. But eventually I got to a point of frustration where I'd been working on this portfolio, and I got to a point where I'm like, I can't make this any better. This is the height of my skill. And I still kept on getting rejected. And whenever I would send my portfolio over to like my air quote friends in the industry, ask them to give me advice or feedback or insights so I can make it better, they just kept on saying the same thing as when I first started, that, you know, it was essentially that it was rough, stick to comic books. And it started to get in my head, and I started to genuinely believe that I'm not good enough and that I'll never be good enough. And that almost drove me to insanity, because I deal with that already when it comes to this comic book thing. A part of me has kind of gotten used to handling it on the comic book side of things. But, you know, this animation thing, since I was a kid, you know, unconsciously I've been wanting to do this. So it hurt me when I just kept on getting negativity, you know, from feedback and from job applications. Just nada, nothing was going my way. And it was all so frustrating. And I got so frustrated to the point where I reached out to the person that inspired me to, you know, to believe in myself, that inspired me to actually pursue this insane dream. And also, let me say this really quick. The overwhelming amount of people that I reached out to in the animation industry, yeah, they told me like I should stick to comic books and, you know, I'm not meant for the animation industry. But I don't want to, you know, just make it seem like they're all just terrible. No, a lot of people were nice. 4 or 5 of them were really nice, and they were really encouraging, and they genuinely wanted to help me. And to those guys, I appreciate you. I'm not going to put anyone's name out there to put them on blast or whatever. But yeah, not everyone in the animation industry is cold-hearted and whatever. I just want to make that clear before I continue. I DM'd Ethan Becker. It was kind of goofy. I'm kind of laughing now when I think about it. I literally slid in his DMs. I like did the whole thing like, oh yeah, I'm that guy. I was like, you're probably not gonna read this, but blah 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 blah. And I basically introduced myself, told him my situation, and surprisingly, he actually got back to me. Ethan Becker got back to me. Now, you know, he's a busy guy. No shade. I love that guy. He's one of my favorite YouTubers of all time. But his reply was kind of, you know, as someone who does social media, I know that reply. It's kind of just like really quick. it felt cold. And I apologize if I've ever done that to you guys, if I've ever like replied to your DMs kind of cold. I promise I'm not trying to be. I try to put in as much effort in the reply as possible, and I'm sure Ethan was as well, but he gave an answer. But this is nothing different than what I've seen in his videos, and it just didn't help me, and I gave up. Kind of. I kind of gave up. So to go back to the beginning of the video, talking about Monsters University and Mike Wazowski, I might just be that Mike Wazowski. I might want this really bad, but no matter what I do, no matter how hard I work, because Lord knows I worked hard, maybe it's just not meant to work out. And that brings me back to the title. Your dreams might not come true, and that might be all right, because if a door is closed, you kind of don't want to force it open because it might not be meant for you. No matter how bad you think you might want it to open, it might not be meant for you. That's why it's closed. Okay, so I'm not a quitter. I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me to quit. I'm still gonna keep applying, but I guess the point of me making this video is deep down, I guess I've kind of accepted that I might not be good enough for the animation industry. And also, I forgot to mention, ironically, my dream studio is Pixar. And if you don't know anything about the animation industry, Pixar is like the Harvard of like animation. Everybody wants to get in there. It is super competitive. It is super sought after. So obviously, you guys know me. You know me. I'm always do it big or go home. My dream as a comic book artist is to be the best next to Murata and such. So you know, if I had a dream about being in the animation industry, it would be something wild too. So yeah, the thing about the dream is sometimes you're pursuing a dream as an artist that you think is, you know, what you're meant to do, but it could just end up opening other doors for you. Like, just by talking to all these artists through Instagram and through social media, it's kind of opened my mind up to how flexible being an artist can be. I'm not exactly married to the idea of doing anything else besides comic books and animation, at least for now, but my mind is a lot more open. So long story short, you can have dreams and you can pursue them, but it's okay if they don't come true, because at the very least, you know that you tried. You know, one day we're all gonna go. On your deathbed, you can at least lay there without any regrets, because if you at some point in your life wanted to be an artist or a famous artist and you're not, you can at least take comfort in the fact that you tried. So there is no what if. You got out there and you gave it your best and it just didn't work out. And that's fine. That's completely fine. So if you gave it your best, you know, and it didn't work out, you can also discover something else that you like along the way, right? It's the same thing that happened with me on manga. I tried comic books. I could not get that Western comic book style. It didn't look right. I couldn't get it. And along the way, I discovered, you know, the manga style. Besides, it was convenient because I didn't like to work in a team anyways, and I don't like to color. And I'm sorry if this is a shitty video. This isn't scripted, so I know I'm not as eloquent as I usually am in my other videos. But art nerds, listen, if you're gonna take anything away from any of the nonsense rambling, it's that I'm still the same DD Mark. I still want you to have big dreams. Don't you ever dare, if you're listening to me right now, don't you ever dare to dream small. Dream big. Dream as big as you can imagine. Because even if you fail, you will still be surprised by where you land or where you find yourself standing. So, like Mike Wazowski, you can try, be the hardest worker, do your best. And sometimes you're not cut out for it. But just like Mike Wazowski, on that journey, you can find what it is that you're cut out for. I mean, spoiler alert for, you know, the end of Monsters, Inc. But everything stops running on scaring. It turns into laughter, and Mike was, you know, cut out for that. So yeah, like, dream big, and if it doesn't work out, then it just wasn't meant to be. All you can do is know that you put your best foot forward. I say the same thing to students or people who talk to me about anything, and it's mostly school. If you get an F on a test, I have one question for you. Did you try your hardest? Did you study your hardest? Did you do everything that you know you could do? And if the answer is yes, and you still got an F, there's nothing you could have done. All you can do is smile. Just smile, because you gave it your all and it didn't work out. That's fine. So yeah, thank you all for watching and listening to this hopefully decent video. Oh my god, I hope this doesn't turn out terrible. But yeah, shout out to my Patreons for supporting this channel. I truly appreciate them. They sort of give me hope that I'm kind of doing the right thing. in pursuing this art. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe as well, because that helps me out. The analytics tell me a lot of you guys watching are not subscribed. Please do that. That helps the channel out a lot. And last but not least, make sure to leave a comment, because I read and respond to most comments. Till next time, my beautiful, beautiful art nerds. 'Tis I, DD Mark. Peace and love, baby.